welcome back to the third episode of my Minecraft hardcore playthrough. I chopped down my oak forest off camera, and I replanted some of them, and I'm composting the extra saplings. I got a little over 2 stacks of oak logs, which is not as much as you'd think it is in the long run, but it's better than the 0 we had before. In the last episode, we built the start of my new house. We're currently living in a very small dirt hut. Let's sleep until daytime. I also took a small break, which was nice. And I think I'll record a couple more episodes today, and that should be good until I'm back from vacation. So, last episode we spent a lot of time recovering from unfortunately dying at the beginning of the second episode. So we're recuperating from that and starting a new world, and hopefully this one will have a much better chance of succeeding, so that we can actually explore some of the new mods. So, we will also need some more birch. So I'll cut down a couple more birch trees while we're over here, and I'll replant some saplings. Shouldn't need too many because we just need planks, not logs. So my plan for my base is to build a second floor that extends a little bit over the river. Maybe has some kind of support beam that goes into the river or something like that. And then underneath my base, I'm hoping to keep some animals, maybe like cows or sheep or pigs or something like that. I think cows and sheep would be the most useful, because we can get milk and wool from them, respectively. And then maybe underneath the second floor over the river, we could have some sort of dock where I could go fishing. I think that would be nice. Also, as I said in the last couple episodes, I have some goals. One of my goals is to build a chicken farm in one of the jungle trees that's across the river. I think that would be really nice. And very fun, and I want to do that to keep the chickens out of the way of the wolves that live nearby. Which leads me to my other goal, which is to collect enough bones to tame a wolf, so I can have a nice pet dog. That could help keep me protected from mobs and stuff, since, like I said, this is hardcore, and I'm not really super comfortable with hardcore yet. As you guys saw when I died from a creeper in the second episode. One of my other current goals is to build a giant statue of Sun to watch over us in this solo playthrough. If you don't know, Sun is one of my best friends who I usually stream with. But this playthrough is just me and you guys. So, we'll build a statue to kind of keep us company. Long-term goals are to explore the mods, the recent mods that Minecraft has put out that I have not been able to keep up with. I think that would be fun. I'm especially excited for the ghast mod, but I also think that will be the hardest to do in hardcore, because that heavily involves the nether. But we'll be alright. For now, we just need to build our nice base. Now that we have some more oak logs, I should finish building the support beams. on the corners here. I also have a bucket of water. That's always one of the first things I do in survival runs, to hopefully catch myself if I fall too far. We're also building right next to a river, which is nice and convenient, so hopefully we won't die from fall damage in this run. I think the second floor is going to extend this way. First, we need to build the actual floor. We want it to come up to about here, so let's finish these supports. Oops. There we go. And now I kind of want to do this like checkered pattern that Sun actually introduced me to. I don't believe we streamed it. I think it was just a world with our friends. But she showed me this really nice like checkered pattern she did with logs. So I kind of want to do that because I thought it was very pretty. Just want to make sure I don't accidentally mess it up. Oops, I immediately did. I jinxed myself. That's okay. There we go. Hopefully we'll have enough logs for this. We might have to collect more once we start building the second floor. Because we'll need some for more supports. Looks like we might have just enough for this floor. Might be able to do this. Yep, there we go. Nice support beam there. That looks natural. Which means we will need a nice big tree. We will need some more logs so we can continue the supports outwards, but it won't take as many as this floor did. So let's do another time lapse as I chop down a few more trees. Alright. This is probably enough wood for now. I'll just break as many of these leaves as I can before more trees grow. I'm gonna leave this big tree for now, because it's kind of a pain to chop down big oak trees, but also I just really like how they look and I kind of don't want to get rid of it. Don't like all these leaves that keep sticking to it though. There we go. I kind of wish the subtitles didn't show my footsteps, because it always freaks me out a little bit when I just see footsteps in the captions down there. I just realized that it doesn't show up in the recording because my little avatar is blocking it, but I do have subtitles in the bottom right corner that I'm keeping an eye on. And whenever I walk around, it just shows the word footsteps, which is kind of terrifying. It gives me a little heart attack every time, but that's alright. Let's go to bed really quick. Hopefully my avatar isn't blocking too much. I made it bigger when I started recording the second episode. Bigger than the first episode, I mean. Just to show a little bit more detail than I do on streams. So if you think it's too big, or if you want me to move it or anything, I can definitely do that. Just let me know. It probably just takes up about as much space as both mine and Sun's avatars do on stream. So hopefully it's not too bad, but you never know. Alright, we have enough logs, so let's go up here and start building this second floor. I don't know how far to extend it outwards, but probably quite a bit because that first floor is pretty small. Maybe this much? That might be good. Let's start over here. I like seeing the squids down there. I'm glad that they haven't really changed the squid design. I kind of like how cartoony and silly it is. But I wonder if they're gonna add, like, octopi as a separate thing sometime. But I do hope they don't change the squid design. I think it's very cute and silly. Maybe they could make the tentacles a little bit more realistic and maybe give them a better swimming animation, but I like that you can still find them in rivers and things like that. I think that's funny. We could probably have the floor of this one just be cobblestone. We will have to grab some more from the chest. But I just don't want to use up too many of these logs. And I think it makes sense for the floors that are kind of touching the outside air to be something a little bit more sturdy, like cobblestone. Almost flung myself out the window there. What have I been up to lately? Well, I've been rewatching Merlin, the TV show. It's probably one of my favorite TV shows of all time, if not the favorite. I used to say that Doctor Who was my favorite, but I don't know what it is about these newer seasons. I can't quite put my finger on it, but they don't have quite the same vibe as they used to, but it's not a bad show still. But, I think it's probably just mostly the older seasons that would be my favorite. But Merlin, the entire show, I just love it. It's such a silly show, that knows just the right amount to take itself seriously, I think. And I really like the structure of kind of early 2000s shows like that. I really like the pacing. I feel like it's just really nice. I had the perfect amount of logs. And I just love it. It's like a comfort show for me now. Um, but yeah, I've been rewatching Merlin because I've started a large painting inspired by the show. Uh, I've said this in streams, but I often post my art on Tumblr. I believe my username is just Danny Chai. I have the same profile picture as I do on everything, the rabbit profile picture. Whenever I change it, I still try to keep it consistent throughout all the platforms, so just find that profile picture. But yeah, if you're interested, you can see my art there. I'll probably post the finished painting on there. I think it's my biggest painting so far, except the mural that I painted in my school one time. But just for a regular painting, I think it's my biggest. I'm very happy with it so far. I'll probably have to take a break from it until after vacation, but I think it'll be nice to see it with fresh eyes and know what to fix and what to add and things like that. But yeah, I've been rewatching the show in the background while I work on it, just to be like immersed in the world, I guess, because it's a bit of a landscape painting. And it's been nice. Like I said, I really like the pacing. It's very cozy for me. If you haven't seen it, I highly recommend checking it out. This music is very loud, huh? Yeah, if you haven't seen it, I highly recommend watching it if you're able to. I know they recently like took it off of a lot of streaming platforms. I've been watching it on, I think, Tubi, the like free one where you have to watch ads. That's like the only one that I can find that it's still on in the US. Um, so it'll be there if you can't find it anywhere else. And it might be, you know, on YouTube somewhere, but don't tell them I sent you. uh, it's such a good show. It's not very long. I think it's what, 4 or 5 seasons that are relatively short. Um, I mean, it feels like it goes by very quick, but might also just be because I love the show so much. Uh, but it's very good. Prepare to cry at least once, though. Alright, well, I finished the second floor itself. This is the first floor. It's pretty small, cozy. I like all the windows. I like being able to see out everywhere. But now I need to figure out the roof. I think I said that I would try to do jungle. I don't know. Maybe I could do oak logs with like a little bit of cobblestone stairs as an accent. That might be nice. Yeah, that might not look too bad, which means that I need a whole bunch more oak logs. But, well, maybe I could do jungle logs. I don't really like how orange jungle wood is, but jungle logs aren't too bad. Let's maybe make a couple more axes and chop down some jungle trees. I also definitely need to make like a fence there, and I need to make these stairs wider. But we can get to that later, because we are out of cobblestone. But I need cobblestone to make axes, don't I? Well, I think the house is pretty secure. I can make some more torches and maybe start smelting some sand. Yeah, I think we'll worry about the roof after we make the house secure, I'll just start gathering some sand, I guess. Try not to mess with the stuff on my side of the river too much. So yeah, we'll gather up some sand so that we can make some glass so we can fill in the windows. And we'll fill up the house with torches, and hopefully mobs won't spawn. And we can start moving everything over to the big house. Then we can deal with the roof after that. It doesn't look too bad. It just looks pretty square. But we can definitely take our time and add more details once we give it livable and safe. What else have I been up to? I said either in the last episode or the episode before that I want to read more. I think I'm going to take a book with me on vacation to read in my downtime. Maybe that Lord of the Rings book, like I was saying, or maybe the Hobbit book, because it's a little bit, easier for travel. And I know a lot of people like audiobooks lately, and they're a little bit easier for some people to get into, but I really miss the feeling of physically holding a book and reading it myself with my own, like, inner voice, and kind of imagining what's happening. I talked about Welcome to Night Vale, one of my favorite podcasts ever, and I really like that, but that's because it's its own unique experience, if that makes sense, like a fiction podcast, and it works well for its medium, but I like reading books physically. And plus, I kind of want getting back into reading to be a way to get back away from a lot of technology, if that makes sense. So I feel like starting an audiobook would be kind of counterproductive for my personal goals. I know not everybody's goals are the same, but mine are to kind of limit the amount of screens and technology I'm on in my daily life, because I do streaming and recording, and I'm an artist, mostly a digital artist, so that's what I've been doing more like acrylic painting lately, and hanging out with friends in person more often, you know, those sorts of things, to kind of find ways to do things without it necessarily being online or on a screen. That isn't to say that I don't still spend most of my time on a screen or on technology in some way, but, you know, I'm working on it. I think that's one of my biggest goals for this next year. Alright, we have a little over 2 stacks of sand. That should be enough to make a bunch of glass panes. So we can start smelting that while I go get some more cobblestone so that we can make some more tools and another furnace. And the stairs for the roof. I'll take a quick break to sip some water. And time to mine a bunch of cobblestone. I have a pretty large single player survival world that I might show off to you guys at some point. It's not hardcore, and I have occasionally gone into creative mode to build some larger structures around my main base, but the vast majority of it I have built in survival, which I'm very proud of. I talked last time about how much I love building in Minecraft, and I do love building in creative mode, but I feel like building in survival, I think I talked about this in the first episode as well. I think building in survival kind of pushes you to be even more creative and kind of work around your surroundings and the materials you're given. So I feel like I end up building much more genuinely creative stuff in survival mode. I don't know how much of that I'll be doing in this playthrough, since this is hardcore and I don't want to go overboard and end up dying just because I want to build something cool. I will work pretty hard on my home base, but I won't do too much like, decorative or massive structures, just to play it safe. I'm going to turn this down a bit more. Yeah, I might do a lot of stuff like underground, which is honestly safer, than building above ground, at least in hardcore. As long as I, avoid the classic blunders, don't dig straight down and the like, and avoid lava. But, yeah, I'll probably do a lot of stuff underground and over this river so that I have the water to fall into if I need to. I'm still... This music is scaring me. I'm still keeping an eye out for monsters sneaking up behind me. Hopefully they don't, but I just want to be safe. Once I get this main base set up, it should be a lot more fast-paced, but also less frantic, I hope. Because it'll just be a lot of, like, exploring, things like that. I might end up adding one of my favorite mods, which is a, like, map and, what's the word? Teleporting waypoint system, I guess? Fast travel, that's the word. One of my favorite mods is that kind of system. So I might input that at some point just to make this playthrough a little less, like, not difficult, but just like, because I may be going around long distances and it's not fun to just lose my base. That's kind of a boring and anticlimactic way to end or like postpone a playthrough like that, just losing track of my base. So at some point I might implement that, I'm unsure. While the rest of that is cooking, let's go add in some glass panes. Also, the leaves falling from the trees are a really nice touch, but it is very startling when I just see something out of the corner of my eye all of a sudden like that. So if I'm ever just like frantically looking around next to some trees, that's probably why. Uh, Also, definitely let me know if you guys have been enjoying this series so far. I definitely have. Um, it's a nice change of pace from the streams that I often do. I know that I tend to say that we play a lot of chill games, Sun and I, but it does often end up very frantic, even if we don't mean it to be. Um, just because we end up being a little bit too competitive. But yeah, with this playthrough, it's a lot more relaxed, especially since it's a solo series. And also the pre-recorded, it's not a stream, so I can just really focus on um what I'm doing in the game instead of trying to multitask so much and getting distracted and all that. It also helps that it's hardcore to provide a little bit of tension. But mostly like background tension, just to like keep me focused on the goal and try to do things quickly but, safely, I hope. uh, I'm gonna go put in a dividing wall up here on the second floor. Also, so I can place this last door. Can probably put it next to the top of the stairs. Oops. There we go. This might be enough windows to finish up the second floor. As long as I don't place any in the wrong spots. Alright. All the windows are placed. The walls are placed. It's getting dark out. I might need to put a bridge over that little area. So the last thing I need to do is, to make the house fully livable, is to build that roof. So I need to make a lot of cobblestone stairs. And I'll definitely need to go mining again at some point. So that I can have more cobblestone. But hopefully this will be enough for now. And fill this in as well. Alrighty. So, like I said, it should probably be a cobblestone roof with some wood details. But, we'll get to that in the next episode. So for now, we're almost done with the base. We should finish up, like, the main chunk of it next episode, and then throughout the series I'll, add some details and decorations and things like that. I'm really hoping to get some paintings, because I absolutely love the paintings in Minecraft, especially the newer ones. I think they look beautiful. I really want some, like, physical versions of them in real life to, like, hang in my room or something. Because they're so cool. But, for now, thank you guys so much for watching. I stream almost every Saturday from 7 to 9 p.m. Central with my friend Sun over on our Twitch channel. So check us out there. I should be streaming in a couple weeks once I'm back from vacation. Once this is out, I might actually be back, or like about to be back. So, keep an eye out for that. The VODs will be posted on this YouTube channel alongside future episodes of this playthrough and maybe other playthroughs that I do. So thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate you guys. What is the hand signal? There we go. Yeah, I really appreciate you guys. And I hope you're enjoying this series. So, I'll see you in the next episode.